Hello children. The next topic of the chapter surface chemistry is properties of colloids. In the previous video I have already informed you to see some of these properties through a animated video which I have sent you. So let us discuss the further properties of colloids. The first property is colligative properties, then Tyndall effect, color and size, Brownian motion, charge on colloidal particles. There are many more. We'll see one by one. The first one, colligative properties. So colligative properties means those properties of solutions which depend on the particle size. If the particle size is which depend on the number of particles, So if the number of particles is less, the change in that property will be less. If the number of particles are more, you will be able to see more change in this property. We will be studying colligative properties more in detail in solution chapter. For your brief understanding, I'll just give you one example. For example, if we have starch and we have glucose. So starch, if we take 1 gram of starch and we take 1 gram of glucose, starch molecules being bigger in size, they will be less in number. And glucose, same 1 gram, will have more number of particles. So if we make a solution of 1 gram of starch or we make a solution of 1 gram of glucose, the effect of glucose on the boiling point, melting point of the solution will be more as compared to starch. Why? Because the number of particles in starch will be less, as the molecules of starch are very big, whereas glucose molecules are small, so their number of particles will be more. And colligative properties are those properties which get affected by the number of particles and not the size of the particle. Okay. So which are the colligative properties? Colligative properties like melting point, boiling point, relative lowering of vapor pressure, all these are the colligative properties. We will study more about colligative properties in solution. Then you will be able to understand more better. Tyndall effect, color and size, and Brownian motion. These three topics I had told you all to see it through animation, because through activities it will be more clear. What is Tyndall effect, how it gets affected by the colloidal particles, then the color and the size of the colloidal particles is related with the color. How the color of the gold salt, it changes from red to golden to blue in color. And then Brownian motion also, the zigzag continuous movement of the colloidal particles due to the bombarding of the solvent molecules. So all these I hope that you might have seen. Let us move on to the next, that is the charge on the colloidal particles. So colloidal particles either have positive charge or negative charge. And the charge on the colloidal particles is an important factor to determine its stability. This we have seen in the previous part of the chapter. How does the charge get formed? We have seen two methods of preparation of colloid. One is the Bradig's arc method, or we will call it as electrical disintegration method, and the second method was peptization method. Now in Bradig's arc method, when the electrodes get melted, they form small particles and they are forming a colloidal solid. So in this process, electron may get adsorbed on the particles and the particles may get charged. The second method is peptization method. In peptization method, we are shaking precipitates, freshly formed precipitates, with an electrolyte. So the cation or anion of the electrolyte can get adsorbed on the surface of the colloidal particles, or the salt particles. So depending on which type of particle or which type of charge has got adsorbed, they will be either positively charged salt or they will be negatively charged salt. So examples of positively charged salt are hydrated metallic oxides. So you can compare these two. Like oxides, if it is metallic oxides, then it is positively charged. If it is metal sulfide, then it is negatively charged salt. If it is a basic dye stuff like methylene blue, then it is positively charged. If it is negatively charged, then it is an acidic dye stuff like eosine and Congo red. Then another example is hemoglobin is a positively charged salt, whereas starch, gum, gelatin, clay, they will come under negatively charged salt. This table you have to learn because from this examples are asked in the exam also. Okay. Now, why is this charge on the colloidal particles very important? Because of the same type of charge on all the salt particles or all the colloidal particles, they don't come close to each other. As they don't come close to each other, so they do not form larger aggregates or larger particles, and they do not get precipitated. So the charge on the colloidal particles is a very important factor for their stability. Now let us see how this charge gets formed by preferential adsorption method. We saw two methods. One is the Bredig-Zark method by adsorption of electron. The second, the charge on the colloidal particles may also be generated due to the preferential adsorption of ions. So let us see through examples what does it mean by preferential adsorption. Now as it is preferential means the word means preference, giving preference or priority. So when a sol is formed or when a colloid is formed, which charge is getting adsorbed will mainly depend on the procedure, how we are preparing that sol. For example, let there be a reaction between aqueous solution of AgNO3 and aqueous solution of potassium iodide, and it gives AgI sol. Now this sol is formed and KNO3, aqueous solution of KNO3 is formed along with it. Now there can be two ways. One is in the container you have Ki and you are adding AgNO3. In the second case, in the container, you are having AgNO3 and you are adding to it Ki. In both the cases, what is going to form is AgI sol. So it is common for both. But what we are doing is, in the first one, we are adding AgNO3 in Ki, and in the second case, we are adding Ki in AgNO3. So we are just changing the method for the preparation of AgI sol. Now in the first case, what will happen? AgI particles will get formed. Suppose this is a particle of AgI. Now as soon as AgI will get formed, it will adsorb one of the common ion which is present in the container. Common ion means either it will adsorb Ag plus or it will adsorb I minus. Ag has +1 charge, I has -1 charge. So this colloidal particle or the sol particle of AgI will adsorb one of the ion which is common, which is present in excess quantity in the container. Now if these two are of the same concentrations, but in the container Ki is there, now out of K and I, which is common ion? I minus is common with this. So what will happen? The sol particles, as soon as they are formed, they will adsorb I minus ions on the surface. As a result, a layer of charge will get formed on AgI. Now in this case, as I minus has got adsorbed, so a negatively charged sol will be formed. In the other case, in this case, AgNO3 is there in the container, Ki is getting added, means excess. Which ion is there out of Ag plus and I minus? It is Ag plus in the container which is present. So Ag plus will get adsorbed on the surface, and as a result, a positively charged sol will form. Getting it? When is a negatively charged sol form? When is a positively charged form? Whichever ion is present in excess in the container, that will get adsorbed on the surface. Now, there will be also a formation of one more layer. Now this layer will get attached on the surface, but always if negative charge is there, positive charge will also be there along with it. So along with this, another counter ion will be there surrounding this. Now which is the counter ion? Again Ag can't be there because again Ag and I will form the salt. So which is the other positive ion? It is I plus, K plus. So K plus will be there present all over around this. And then after K plus, then NO3 minus will be there surrounding it. So like this, positive and negative charge ions will be arranged. But we are more concerned with this. Further we are going to discuss of these two layers. This one is the fixed layer. And this layer, just next to the fixed layer is the diffuse layer, we can say. So there is a double layer formation on the surface of the colloidal particles. One is that which will get adsorbed, which is the fixed layer, and the next layer of charges which will be just next to this fixed layer, we will call it as a diffuse layer. So a fixed layer and diffuse layer, like this, charge separation is taking place at the surface, and because of this charge separation there will be a potential generated at the surface due to this electric double layer. This electric double layer is also known as Helmholtz electric double layer, and as a result a potential will be generated over here, and this potential is known as zeta potential, or it is also known as electrokinetic potential. Getting it? Same way here also electric double layer will be generated. Here Ag plus is there. The ion which will be just next to it will be NO3 minus ion, which will be diffused next to it. So here also a double layer will be formed in this case. There is some discrepancy in your NCERT textbook in this figure. Actually here I minus has been shown, but it can't be I minus because Ag plus and I minus again will form a salt particle. So it should be the other counter ion, NO3 minus. So you can make this correction. Okay, so understood what is a diffuse layer, what is a fixed layer, and I think so you may not be able to see right to this part of the board, so I'll write it here. This layer, first layer is the fixed layer, and the second layer just next to it, like K plus, which will be diffused. So we will call it as a diffused layer. So one is the fixed layer, one is the diffuse layer. Because of this separation of charges, there will be a potential generated, which we will call as an electrokinetic potential or zeta potential, and this double layer is known as Helmholtz double layer, electric double layer. Okay. So we have seen this with the example of AgNO3 and Ki. Let us see one more example. This is a very important topic, and many a times question is asked from this topic. Let us see one more example. If ferric chloride is added to water, and second case is ferric chloride is added to NaOH. So which charge salt, positive charge salt or negative charge salt, is generated when ferric chloride is added to water, ferric chloride is added to NaOH. Now aqueous solution of ferric chloride when it is added to water, here we have H2O, and we are adding FeCl3. What is the basic concept? Whichever ion is excess in quantity, that will get adsorbed on the surface of the colloidal particles. Now if FeCl3 is added into water, now water contains H plus and OH minus ions, but as you know that water is very weak, and the number of H plus and OH minus ions are very less, so they are not sufficient, water itself is not sufficient to get any kind of ions adsorbed on the surface of the salt. The salt formed in this case is FeOH thrice. Hydrolysis of ferrichloride takes place. So FeOH thrice salt is formed. Now in this case, water does not have sufficient number of ions. So whatever FeCl3 is entering into the container, it is also providing Fe3 plus and Cl minus ions. Now the condition is whatever sol is formed, it will adsorb on its surface any of the common ion. Means either adsorption of Fe will take place or adsorption of OH minus ion will take place. So here if we see like at the first sight it appears that H plus OH minus ions are there in the container. So OH minus ion should be adsorbed on this surface. But the number of H plus OH minus ions are not sufficient. So what is actual concept? The excess ions. More concentration, whichever ion will be. So in this case, which is the common ion out of the two? This OH is not available from water as a source. So Fe ion will be available, though FeCl3 has been added to water, but still Fe ions will be more in number, and so adsorption of Fe3 plus ion will take place on the surface of FeOH thrice salt. Clear? So which charged salt will be formed in this case? Positively charged salt. Positively charged salt is formed when FeCl3 is added to water. Let us see the next case. In the next case, we are having NaOH in the container, Na plus OH minus ions, and FeCl3 is added. If we consider both are of same concentration, so which ion is more in the container out of Fe and OH thrice? Which is more here now? OH is already present. NaOH is a strong electrolyte, so it will have more OH minus ions. So OH minus ions are already there in the container, so adsorption of OH minus ions will take place on the surface of FeOH thrice. So OH minus ions will get adsorbed like this. So a negatively charged salt will form here in this case. So in the first case, positively charged salt, and in the second case, negatively charged salt is formed. This is known as preferential adsorption of ions on the surface of the salt particles or on the surface of the colloidal particles. Why preferential adsorption? It will depend on the procedure, how we are preparing the salt, to what extent are the ions present, which ion is more in concentration, that will get adsorbed, and that ion has to be a common ion. Then we also saw that only one layer of ions is not possible. This will be a fixed layer, and there will be a counter ion which will be surrounding this fixed layer, which will be a diffuse layer. So one fixed layer is there, one diffuse layer is there due to the formation of double layer, electric double layer, Helmholtz electric double layer. There will be a formation of gradient or potential difference, and that potential formed will be called as zeta potential, or it will be also called as electrokinetic potential. So here we come to an end of the colloidal particles. They show charge, and what is the characteristics of the charge.